Our first guest played a significant role as Finance Secretary during the Arroyo administration, when the current 12% value-added tax became law. He pushed for fiscal reforms when he was appointed in July 2005, following the mass resignation of the economic team. Prior to his Finance Secretary role, he served as three-term congressman representing the 3rd District of Negros Oriental. He currently writes for The Inquirer as a columnist. Please welcome Gary Teves. Good seeing you, Sec. Gary. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you very much, Kathy, for inviting me. And I appreciate your call. I'll try to answer your questions as much as possible.
Indeed, and a lot of answers we're needing. First up, what do you make of Octa's latest research of Filipinos' concern over corruption reaching record highs?
Well, it's quite surprising before, because as you mentioned, it was not among the top 5, but lately, because of what is happening, I guess we really have to pay attention to it. It's now number 2 after managing inflation. So any policy should really be addressing the urgent and important needs of Filipinos.
And paying attention, people are angry. And there are those saying they don't want to pay taxes because it's not getting spent for the right reasons. How do you argue against that?
That's true. I mean, similar to countries all over the world, they don't mind paying taxes if they see the results of what they pay. And that's why it's very challenging now for the government to raise new taxes. We have to focus on how we spend the resources that are available to the maximum and reduce the level of wastage and corruption as much as possible as well. No.
Yeah, because of that disconnect, people are picking on the VAT now, and it's drawing many different views. I brought it up yesterday with Dr. Jess Estanislao, also former finance minister, and days before with Kong Lian Leviste, because he pushed for a reduction. Let's listen to them both.
Well, I would not reduce. That's not where the problem is. The problem is in the use of the funds that we have collected. By reducing the VAT, it's a Band-Aid type of solution, and it does not help you for the long term. Keep it there, but make sure that every peso that we collect is spent according to the priorities that have been agreed by the Cabinet Committee and approved by the President, and therefore submitted. That's how the whole process is
that we should lower spending to support a lower VAT without increasing the deficit. Lowering the VAT by 2% will decrease revenues by 200 billion pesos, more or less. So if you're saying that we don't have space to lower spending by 200 billion pesos, then I would agree that we can't lower the VAT.
So what do you think, Sec. Gary? It was during your term as Finance Secretary that the 12% VAT became law in 2005 and then implemented starting February the following year.
Yes, I agree with both Secretary Jess and Congressman Leviste. The estimate of the Department of Finance is even larger than what Congressman Leviste said, about 330 billion. But whether it's 200 or 330, it's really a big sacrifice, a big loss if that is waived or taken away. I agree with both of them that we'd rather focus on making sure that we spend our resources properly and that we monitor it. And this is going to be the very, very important concern. And we all have to work very hard to make sure that what Jess said, every peso counts.
And indeed, that's what we're doing with the 2026 national budget now making its way to the Senate for deliberations. As we all know, the House approved the General Appropriations Bill last week. And you noted in your recent column a ballooning amount of unprogrammed allocations in the past 2 years. Is that still the case in the 2026 national budget, Sec. Gary, pre- and post-House approval?
The 2026 budget, as approved by the House, has a smaller amount of unprogrammed appropriations. Based on newspaper reports, I think it's in the level of about 200 to 250. Actually, historically, the unprogrammed appropriation should really not be more than 5%. If it's about 200, 250, it's about 3 to 3.5%. That is still manageable. But we have to take a look at how the unprogrammed appropriations took place. Because when the president, through the Secretary of Budget and Management, submits the budget sometime after the State of the Nation address, there is really that component, what we call unprogrammed appropriations. And the budget secretary should explain what are those items. And it's normal, Kathy, because like any corporation, the budget is prepared so many months in advance, and there are possible changes in assumptions. So this contingency should be allowed. And besides, and program appropriations can only be funded if and when the government is able to collect additional revenues outside of what was originally assumed. So a reasonable amount is okay, but we may have to make sure how that took place, because in the past, and that's why it ballooned. Unfortunately, Congress extracted or removed some of the items from the program appropriations, those with definite sources of funds, to unprogram. So that's why over time it went as high as 13 to 15%. I believe it was in 2023 and 2024. So those are the things that the president, the Congress would look into and try to have collective wisdom on how to handle the unprogrammed appropriations.
And that collective wisdom, when it comes to the Senate President, Tito Soto himself, means that senators are now keen to scrap all the unprogrammed allocations except for the foreign assisted projects. This is also what you've been recommending, even before the House approved what it did.
I think there's a need to reflect on it further. Let's try to wait. And LEDAC would come into the picture, the Legislative Executive Development Advisory Council, Kathy, because here you can have, I would say, an interaction, a more thoughtful discussion on how to handle the unprogrammed appropriations. I think there's really room for some, not only foreign assisted projects, there are some good health, education related projects. We have to make sure that they can be funded at the right time, but let's not scrap them altogether. No.
And in the meantime, the People's Budget Coalition is asking for more transparency. The Blockchain Association of the Philippines wants to put the DPWH budget on the blockchain. What do you think it will take to get people's trust back? Are these enough?
It's very important, and that's why there is a newspaper report that the civil society should be given a day or two to go through the proposed 26 general appropriations budget, and before it reaches the bicameral committee. And I think we should listen to them. They might have some very important suggestions as well, of course, during the BICAM, no? But we should listen to them.
Just as a final point, Sec Gary, just looking back, when you assumed the FinSec role in 2005, it was a tumultuous time for the Arroyo administration because of the Hello Garci scandal. You pushed for fiscal reform at a time of turmoil. So what kind of reform would you like to see as the country faces its biggest public governance hurdle by far?
Well, in the budgetary process, Kathy, there's still room for improvement. Before, I thought that the insertion would take place only during the congressional discussion of the budget, but now it's all the way from the preparation. So I thought maybe there's a need for the president and the secretary of budget to beef up a team that will evaluate these projects, starting from the Department of Public Works and Highways, and not just accept them in toto. So I think we can probably do a number of things. Either hire a few people on a project cost basis, so it will not be too expensive. We can tap the good students from state colleges and universities because anyway, they're tuition free. We can consider through an executive order allowing or asking those who will take licensure examinations to help the government initially in the budget preparation. And the other important thing is in the budget implementation and monitoring, where we have found so many ghost projects, substandard projects. So these are the things that can help. And I'm saying that the preventive side is very important rather than just the curative side, and continue with the transparency that has been advocated and I think already approved by both houses and in Congress. I think they need a formal resolution to that. But anyway, let's start it really this year. And the president reiterated that let's start off and see what happens during the bicameral discussion.
All right. Well, so much work to do, but it's a good place to start. Sec Gary, thank you so much for your insights. Sec Gary Teves, the former Finance Secretary.